Hello everybody, today we're going to be talking about two Secret Service games I have in my collection. Secret Service Security Breach and just Secret Service. No 1, 2, 3, extra subtitle, no nothing. This came first, this came later. 2003 and 2008. We're going to talk about both of these games in one video just like we did with Homefront, because I don't think there's going to be much to tell. And, well, they're developed by different people, but both are published by Activision, and this is just a PSA that we like to hate on EA all the time, but Activision is also guilty of producing hot garbage, and Activision may be doing a little worse because they used to publish anything. I can't tell you how many games I have in the collection that have Activision's name on it, and they're budget titles. So kind of like ValueSoft, I guess they published whatever they could make money off of, and the developer was willing to agree to whatever cut they set. So yeah, I've never played these games before. They're both sealed. Let's look at the boxes and see if there's anything interesting on the inside. Probably not. I just love the front cover of Security Breach. The amount of overacting kills me. Uncover and derail demonic plans to bring down the country as a member of the Secret Service. Alright, next up we just got Secret Service, which is a little bit more of a reasonable cover art. Judging by the back of the box, this is looking like a Call of Duty clone. Like Activision took a little bit of the engine made in their other games and then said, you know what, we can make a game like this on the side. Here, Havoc, run with it. And this is actually sign of the times, because if you look at the earlier box, it opens up, there's a lot of information, there's information on the back, and when you get to the next one, there's even less, and that's from 03 to 08. If you take something that released recently, like Destiny 2, there's even less on the back. You see that? 3 squares with campaign, co-op modes, and multiplayer. Cool. Enough about that. Enough about me being an old man. Let's sort of see what information this does have. Full arsenal of tactical weaponry, from sniper rifles, handguns, assault rifles to RPGs, stun guns, grenades, and more. I guess this is the start of when everything was tactical, because the use of tactical there was definitely not accurate. Probably. Who knows? Maybe this is a very tactical game and I don't realize it. Authentic locations: Lincoln Memorial, Capitol Building, White House, Marine One, Air Force One, and top secret bunkers. Would I buy this? I'm not looking forward to these games. So without further ado, let's put in the first game in from 03, play it for as long as I can bear, and then we'll play the one from 08. Let's see how it compares. I'm not looking forward to this, really. So I'm waiting for the game to install, and I'm just chilling, looking at my collection, and eventually I see that, oh yeah, I do have a big box version of Secret Service. But judging by the font, I thought, hey, it's the same game, because, you know, it looks the same. Well, when I pull it off the shelf, look at the front, the inside, the back, I realize that this might be a different game, assuming the information's different, and the graphics look a bit worse. And I look at the date, 2001. So there's 3 of them. Yay. Yay. Well, we'll just stick to 2. If you want to see the third one, we'll do the third one later. I'm not going to do 3 of them. It ain't happening. Unless these games are magically good, I am just going to pretend like it didn't exist and like I didn't see it. So let's go back to just playing the first game, the 03 game first, and then we'll play the 08 one. I'm not about to subject myself to the unholy trinity. Not today.
I love how the installer is SS. You think they could, maybe have chosen something a little bit different? So the game starts off with some excellent voice acting.
Sharp, Harding here. According to our sources, there are 3 shipments of counterfeit cash going out tonight. So find the cash and arrest Bernie Fidel.
What's even better is when you get the same level of voice acting when you die. So here, as you can see, I'm going to get killed.
Try again, Sharp. You can do it.
But the voice acting's not only bad, the gameplay's pretty god-awful. The sound is really terrible. You sound like you're a horse clopping through the cement. And then, if you remember Mob Enforcer, enemies just sort of run at you. They don't really take cover or anything like that. And that's not just true for the baseball bat-wielding enemies. It's also true with the ones with guns. But the graphics seem to be halfway decent. I'm not going to complain about those. I mean, this is 2003. I wasn't really sure what I was going to expect. But at the same time, there's a lot of good games that released around this time. But we're not going to make any comparisons with this one. We're going to save that for the 08 one. Anyway, you run around killing enemies that, on this large map as you look for giant green things of money. Very simple, and you know what? It's really not that bad. But then, the second mission starts. Room service was not so sweet.
Largos have been tipped off and they're on their way. Rendezvous with the SWAT van in the parking garage. Access through the basement. Evacuate Vidal. I repeat, evacuate Vidal.
Get me out of here, Agent! You don't know what they'll do to me!
This mission is really bad because you gotta fight through an endless supply of enemies while going from floor to floor. Seriously, you go through like 20 floors and they seem like they're the same. This level may not be that long in reality, but it just felt like it was never ending. I felt like I was playing the never-ending staircase game from back in the day. But the worst part about it is when I got to the end, the mission wouldn't stop, and then I realized why. The guy I was supposed to escort did not follow me. He's nowhere to be found. And that means I have to run all the way back to go get him. I mean, before then, I make sure I check every door before I make that trek. No, the sad reality is, he wasn't following me the whole time, because he gets stuck on stuff, and you have to lead him very, very slowly. So, I had to run back up a seemingly endless number of staircases to finally get back to this guy. And when I finally find him, I found out that, hey, he was stuck on a staircase. The worst part about this is that you have to walk very slowly and make sure he gets around obstacles, because if you don't, he will get stuck and you will have to run back. And this is where I start to notice a lot of glitches with this game, particularly while using the flashlight, which, by the way, you can't have a flashlight and a gun at the same time, which is just annoying. There's a reason why they took that out of Doom 3. Does this look like fun to you? Just look. You know, I was going to ignore the sort of, you know, boring gameplay and the gunplay being trash for, you know what, it's a budget title and it was probably cheap upon release and I only got it for like $5. But this put a very sour taste in my mouth. The AI pathfinding is awful. It doesn't help that the second mission's the same thing, but yet in a parking garage. And, well, again, like Mob Enforcer, enemies don't take cover, so it becomes really boring. That's a very minute detail that separates a good game from a bad game. When enemies don't take cover, they don't throw grenades, they don't give each other covering fire, it's just boring. It's basically line warfare, shooting at one another, you know, in a line. But hey, I rushed a little too fast and ended up dying, and you better believe me that I'm not going to play through that again. Escorting this guy was miserable, and there's no such thing as really a checkpoint. So, well, sorry to say, that's all I have to say about the first Secret Service game, because I couldn't get that far. I wasn't really willing to keep playing after, you know, realizing that the AI has bad pathfinding. So we'll just go to the second game. The second game seems to have some promise. After starting the new game and selecting your difficulty, you get a cutscene starting with a quote, though the quote takes forever to fill up the screen. Now, the worst part about this intro is that it lasts over 5 minutes long, and it isn't interesting. Just listen to the voice acting.
Pierce,
Do you have the president in your sight?
identify yourself. This is a secure channel. You're in violation of...
We may not have much time, Agent.
It's like they're trying to give you the entire story word for word without feeding it to you as the game progresses. Let's compare this to a game that came out a year before, also made by Activision, and assumingly what this game was based off of, and that's Modern Warfare. Let's watch this intro.
Good news first, the world's in great shape. We've got a civil war in Russia, government loyalists against ultranationalist rebels, and 15,000 nukes at stake.
Just another day at the office.
Khaled al-Assad, currently the second most powerful man in the Middle East.
This intro was maybe 30 seconds long, and you're up to playing, and while you may not exactly know what's going on in the world, you understand that you're probably going to be going after a dude in the Middle East, and then you're the new guy, you're training, and, you know, it's just...
Good to see you, mate.
What makes it worse about the Secret Service game is that once the cutscene ends, you get a quick little tutorial, and then you got to follow the president to Lincoln Memorial, which takes forever, and since there is no walk button, you're awkwardly kind of like shooting forward and stopping, shooting forward and stopping. But it cuts to another cutscene. 30 seconds this time, not as long, but it seems like I just want to play. But then when you finally get to play, I thought I was doing something wrong at first. You're just standing here shooting at people and collecting cell phones. Cell phones is the intel of this game. They have like messages on them. I thought like Was I not doing something correct? You stay at the Lincoln Memorial shooting at people what seems like for an eternity, and the gunplay's really not that bad. This does feel like a budget Call of Duty, and I was willing to give this game a free pass, but it's just so boring. Eventually get the ability to go beyond the trees and start hunting down people with RPGs, and this was, you know, fairly simple, straightforward. Oh, wait, what? Did you see that guy? That's insane. Oh, I love glitches like that. There's some Goat Simulator stuff. Then you go inside the White House or Capitol building. I'm not really sure. I wasn't really listening. And you get introduced to the minigame where you have to deactivate bombs using this hacking minigame. I feel like every game in the mid-2000s before 2010 had to have some hacking minigame. In fact, what am I saying? They still exist today. And I don't know about this game. Just like the other one, just enemies run at you and use no tactics whatsoever. And it's just boring. And you know, a lot of people ask me, what makes this different than, say, Call of Duty? Well, let's look at the beginning of Modern Warfare when you're playing it. You train on the ship that you're about to attack, and it gives you an idea about what this mission's going to be all about. But then when you finally get there, the atmosphere, the overall graphics, it's just blowed me away as a kid, as I was kind of nervous about what was about to happen. And then, even though you're on the same level, when you start from the surface and go down to the cargo bay, the mission changes appearances. It ain't the same bleak walls of a Capitol building over and over and over again. It looks different. And then when you find the bomb, your ship gets blown up by some bogeys flying in, and you gotta run out, jump on the helicopter, and then when you turn around, you can almost feel your character huffing and puffing as you watch the ship that you were just on sink. And then Call of Duty Modern Warfare appears on the screen. God, what a great intro. And what a good example of what makes a game good. Pacing.
And you know, I
well,
called
just
Homefront bland, calling it a knockoff Call of Duty, but these games seem to be even worse. These games make Homefront look like masterpieces. And that's the tough thing about a shooter, is that the tiny details are what matter. Like I said, when the enemy doesn't take cover and they just charge at you, that little detail is enough to set it apart from everybody else. And that's the thing about shooters. Everyone likes to say that every shooter's the same. And on the surface they are. But when you play a lot of shooters, you realize that those really, really tiny differences matter. Next week we're going to be talking about one more shooter before I end this streak of shooters, and that will be Delta Force Black Hawk Down. But before that comes out, just think about it. We looked at Counter-Strike Condition Zero, Homefront, the Secret Service games, with a little bit of dash of Call of Duty thrown in. And just see that, yes, generic first-person shooters are the same on paper. But there is a lot that goes into making them good and making them bland. And next week we'll talk about a game, Black Hawk Down, that does a lot of things different, and it's the reason why it's not considered a Call of Duty clone. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.